Before malls took over, downtown department stores made shopping an event worth dressing up for. On a busy Saturday in the 1950s, the heart of many American cities was not a parking lot or an enclosed mall. It was downtown. Families arrived by streetcar, bus, automobile, or on foot, joining office workers and shoppers beneath department store signs that could dominate an entire block. The biggest stores sold far more than clothing. They offered restaurants, beauty departments, alterations, delivery service, gift wrapping, credit accounts, and floors devoted to specialized merchandise. A trip downtown could fill most of a day for many middle-class shoppers, especially in larger cities, rather than serving as a hurried stop between errands. The experience varied by city and by store. A flagship in Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Atlanta, or Indianapolis could develop traditions all its own. And the polished experience was not equally open to everyone. Segregation and discrimination shaped access and service in many parts of the country. Still, the physical rituals of downtown shopping left unusually vivid memories. Brass elevator doors, perfume in the air, paper parcels, sales slips, counters, display windows, and crowded sidewalks. By the end of the decade, suburban shopping centers and changing travel patterns were already beginning to pull customers away from many traditional downtown districts. To remember what that older shopping world felt like, here are 15 downtown department store memories from the 1950s. Walking the busy downtown shopping streets. Before anyone reached the sales floor, the shopping experience began outside, where department store blocks were surrounded by sidewalks full of purposeful foot traffic. Streetcars and buses discharged passengers near the retail core, while motorists searched for curb spaces, garages, or lots that were often less convenient than today. Storefront signs rose above awnings. Newsstands, drugstores, theaters, lunch spots, jewelers, and specialty shops packed tightly into the same commercial district. A shopper could compare several stores without moving a car, simply walking from one entrance to another and carrying parcels along the way. At lunchtime and after work, office employees mixed with families, teenagers, deliverymen, and salespeople, making downtown feel more like a public gathering place than a retail complex. Crosswalks, traffic whistles, bus brakes, car horns, and street vendors created a layer of sound that disappeared once much shopping moved behind mall doors. In cold weather cities, winter shoppers hurried beneath coats and hats, while summer crowds sought the relief of air-conditioned stores that advertised comfort as part of the experience. Children could remember being told to stay close because losing sight of a parent in a downtown crowd felt very different from wandering a quiet neighborhood shop. The sidewalks also made shopping visible. New clothes, store bags, and wrapped boxes became part of the street scene before purchases ever reached home. That is why many families first remembered the department store not as a counter or a clerk, but as the sensation of arriving downtown. Dressing up for a trip downtown. A trip to a major department store could carry enough social importance that many shoppers paid attention to how they looked before leaving home. Women might wear a dress, gloves, hat, or good coat, while men arriving from work or accompanying family often appeared in jackets, ties, or business clothes. Children were frequently cleaned up and put into presentable outfits, especially for holiday shopping, a restaurant meal, photographs, or a visit to Santa. This did not mean every shopper dressed formally every time, and work clothes or practical clothing were common in many cities and neighborhoods. But downtown retail still belonged to a world in which public appearance was more closely tied to ideas of respectability than it is for many shoppers today. Older viewers often remember mothers checking a hem, straightening a collar, or insisting that good shoes be worn because going downtown meant being seen. The stores reinforced the feeling with polished counters, uniformed employees, carpeted departments, mirrors, and carefully dressed sales staff. Even entering through a revolving door could feel more ceremonial when the family had planned the trip, chosen clothes, and traveled some distance to get there. Being trusted to shop downtown with friends could feel like a small step toward adulthood for many teenagers, complete with expectations about manners and appearance. What seems formal now was often simply part of the rhythm of public life, and getting dressed became the first retail ritual before a dollar was spent. Window displays and Christmas spectacles. Long before online previews and digital advertisements, department store windows tried to stop pedestrians in their tracks with carefully staged scenes behind glass. Fashion windows displayed mannequins in coordinated outfits. Furniture departments created miniature rooms, and seasonal displays changed the appearance of an entire block. During the Christmas season, the windows could become an attraction of their own, especially at famous flagship stores in larger cities. Families sometimes made a special trip simply to see animated figures, toy trains, winter villages, sparkling lights, mechanical characters, and elaborate holiday backdrops. Children pressed close to the glass, while adults stood behind them, creating sidewalk crowds that had nothing to do with waiting for a checkout line. The merchandise was important, but so was fantasy. A good window promised that something exciting existed on the other side of the doors. Store decorators worked with depth, lighting, props, fabric, artificial snow, and moving parts at a time when most homes had nothing remotely comparable. The displays also gave downtown a shared seasonal calendar. Shoppers noticed when the autumn windows changed, when Christmas scenes appeared, and when spring fashions replaced them. Not every city had the scale of New York or Chicago, but decorative windows were a common department store merchandising tool across the country. Many people still remember the Christmas store first from outside. Cold air, bright glass, crowded pavement, and a child staring into a make-believe world. The first-floor perfume and cosmetics counters. Just inside many major department stores, the first floor announced itself with bright counters, glass cases, mirrors, cosmetics, perfume bottles, and attentive saleswomen. The location was strategic. Shoppers passed the beauty counters immediately, even if they had come downtown for shoes, linens, housewares, or a child's coat. Perfume testers and scented products gave these entrances a smell that became inseparable from the memory of department store shopping for many customers. Rows of lipsticks, powders, creams, compacts, and boxed fragrance sets turned small personal items into polished displays that felt more glamorous than a drugstore shelf. Saleswomen demonstrated shades, offered samples, opened cases, and often stood behind branded counters devoted to particular cosmetics or fragrance lines. Mirrors encouraged shoppers to stop, inspect, compare, and imagine a finished look before continuing to another floor. During gift seasons, fragrance counters became even busier because perfume and cosmetic sets were easy to wrap, easy to carry, and advertised as sophisticated presents. Teenage girls accompanying their mothers could linger over lipstick colors or perfume bottles, even when they were not yet allowed to buy the styles they wanted. The department was also a reminder that the store organized shopping by expertise, with specialized counters rather than one large self-service aisle. Anyone who remembers the old flagship stores may still connect that mix of glass, powder, perfume, bright lighting, and polished sales talk with the real beginning of a downtown shopping day. Elevator operators calling out the floors. In many multi-story department stores, elevator operators still carried shoppers between floors and called out the main departments at each stop. An operator might greet passengers, close the gate or doors, work the controls, and call out departments associated with each stop. Stepping into the elevator could feel like entering a tiny moving room to a child, especially with an adult operator who seemed to know the whole building. The ride also emphasized just how large a flagship store could be, with floor after floor devoted to clothing, furniture, housewares, toys, restaurants, offices, and services. Operators helped manage busy traffic during sales and holiday periods, when elevators filled with shoppers carrying bags, boxes, strollers, and winter coats. The repeated rhythm of doors opening, departments being announced, passengers stepping out, and new shoppers squeezing in became part of the store's soundtrack. Some stores had already installed escalators, and by the 1950s, many shoppers used both systems, depending on the building and the floor they needed. Staffed elevators were already giving way to automatic controls, so the operator was becoming one of the store's disappearing forms of personal service. Uniforms, gloves, caps, or neat business dress could make the operator seem like another formal representative of the store, rather than simply someone moving machinery. Ask someone who shopped in a grand downtown store as a child, and the remembered voice calling the floors may be as vivid as anything they bought. Career sales clerks and floor walkers. Many departments depended on experienced sales clerks who knew one category well and stayed with a customer through much of the purchase. A seasoned clerk might know fabrics, brands, sizes, new arrivals, and what could be ordered when the right item was not on the floor. Regular customers sometimes asked for the same salesperson, especially in clothing departments where fit, taste, and family needs changed from season to season. Floor walkers and department supervisors filled a different role, directing shoppers, answering questions, watching the floor, and helping keep service moving. Some sales clerks worked on commission, which rewarded repeat business and gave them a reason to remember customers who returned for future purchases. The service could feel wonderfully personal, but it was never neutral. Class, race, dress, and perceived spending power could affect how a shopper was treated. Black shoppers in segregated cities often encountered unequal service or restrictions, even when downtown stores readily accepted their business. Customers who found a trusted clerk often came to think of that person as part of the store itself, someone who knew the stock and understood what the family wanted. The job also meant long hours on one's feet, straightening displays, writing sales records, locating merchandise, and staying composed during crowded sale days. As self-service retail grew, that expectation of a knowledgeable person waiting within each department gradually became less common. Hat, glove, and hosiery counters. A 1950s department store could devote valuable floor space to accessories that today are often compressed into a few racks or bought only for special occasions. Hats were still an important part of adult dress for many shoppers, and millinery departments offered shapes, trims, colors, and styles suited to different ages and events. A woman could sit before a mirror while a clerk brought hat after hat, adjusting the angle until the shape worked with her face, hair, and coat. Gloves were sold by size, material, color, and purpose, from practical daytime pairs to dressier styles meant for church, dinners, or formal outings. Hosiery counters were equally distinctive because nylon stockings were everyday wardrobe items for many women rather than occasional accessories. Stockings could be discussed in terms of shade, size, sheerness, seam, and durability, details that mattered when a run could ruin an otherwise careful outfit. Small flat boxes, tissue paper, counter drawers, display heads, mirrors, and rows of neatly arranged accessories gave the department a visual identity all its own. These counters also made fashion feel assembled piece by piece. A coat might lead to a hat, the hat to gloves, and the gloves to stockings in a matching tone. Teenagers watching their mothers shop absorbed rules about what was proper, what matched, and what was considered too grown up for their age. Few departments show the distance between 1950s public dress and today's casual shopping culture more clearly than the once busy counters for hats, gloves, and hosiery. Paying with metal Charga-Plates. Long before plastic bank cards became ordinary, some department store customers carried small metal Charga-Plates linked to a specific merchant account. The Charga-Plate resembled a tiny metal identification tag with the customer's name and other account information embossed into the plate. Large merchants used the device to transfer account information quickly onto a sales record, instead of writing the customer's details from scratch. To families used to monthly department store bills, the plate meant credit with one retailer rather than a card that worked almost everywhere. At the counter, the clerk could use the plate while preparing the sales slip, and the purchase was then posted to the customer's store account. The transaction had its own tactile rhythm: a metal plate, paper form, pressure from the imprinter, handwriting, and a signed record. Store accounts could be useful for planned purchases, but they also tied the customer closely to one merchant and its own credit rules. Years later, universal credit cards would take over, but in the 1950s, carrying that store's metal plate still marked a customer as a recognized regular. A metal plate tucked into a wallet or leather case is one of those small objects that immediately places a shopping memory in an earlier credit era. To younger eyes, it looks unusual. To a regular department store customer, it could simply mean the family already had an account downstairs. Pneumatic tubes and cash carrier systems. In some older or especially large stores, paying for a purchase could set off a mechanical process that fascinated children at the counter. Rather than keeping every transaction entirely at the sales desk, a clerk could send cash and paperwork to a central cashier through a carrier system. Where pneumatic tubes were used, a small capsule disappeared into the line with a rush, carrying money or sales records out of sight. These systems were never universal, and stores used different kinds of cash carriers, so the experience depended heavily on the building. By the 1950s, surviving systems connected a modern-looking sales floor with an older method of keeping cash handling centralized. A shopper might wait while payment traveled away, then watch the clerk receive the change, receipt, or paperwork needed to finish the sale. That visible pause feels strange today when electronic authorization happens with almost nothing moving except numbers on a screen. To a child, the attraction was simple. The money vanished into the store and somehow came back from another part of the building. Employees saw something very different. Practical infrastructure moving cash and records through a sprawling retail operation rather than a bit of entertainment. The rush of air, the clunk of a carrier, and the wait for its return gave certain stores a mechanical soundtrack all their own. The bargain basement. Below the polished main floors, many famous department stores developed basement selling areas where price mattered more than ceremony. The bargain basement might offer marked-down clothing, discontinued lines, irregular goods, housewares, seasonal leftovers, and merchandise aimed at shoppers watching every dollar. Fixtures could be simpler, aisles more crowded, and displays less elegant than upstairs, but that was part of the appeal. Shoppers learned that patience and sharp eyes could uncover something useful at a price that made the trip downtown worthwhile. Sale tables encouraged more digging and comparison than the carefully assisted counters on upper floors, giving the basement a faster, more competitive energy. Families on tighter budgets often did not see the basement as a novelty at all. It could be the practical reason they entered an otherwise imposing department store. Children remembered being pulled past piles of clothing while a parent checked labels, seams, sizes, and markdown tags for the best value. The basement also revealed how department stores served several markets under one roof, from luxury cosmetics and fashion to aggressively priced everyday goods. Stores gave these areas different names, including economy basements and bargain departments. But the promise was recognizable. Go downstairs and stretch your money. Even people who rarely remember the exact price of an item can remember the feeling of descending from a grand retail floor into the noisy hunt for a bargain. Eating in the department store tea room. A major downtown department store could feed its customers as well as sell to them, and some maintained formal tea rooms or full-service restaurants. These dining rooms were distinct from the quick lunch counter of a five and dime, offering a slower and often more polished midday meal. Depending on the store, shoppers might find tablecloths, proper place settings, attentive servers, printed menus, floral touches, and signature dishes. Lunch there often became part of the shopping ritual for many women, whether they were out with mothers, daughters, sisters, or friends, rather than merely pausing for food. Some department store restaurants hosted fashion shows, club luncheons, or special events, blending dining, socializing, and merchandising under one roof. Children could learn restaurant manners there, sitting through a meal before the family returned to another floor for the rest of the shopping. In the Jim Crow South, however, the gracious image had a hard boundary. Department store restaurants and other facilities could exclude or segregate Black customers. A store could accept a black family's money at sales counters while denying them the same dining access, seating, or treatment offered to white shoppers. By the end of the decade, the tensions around segregated downtown stores were becoming harder to ignore, and shoppers could already sense that the old order was being challenged. Customers who were permitted to use them could turn tea rooms into a full-day ritual, returning for familiar servers, known dishes, and steady traditions. Standing on the Tailor's alteration platform. Buying a suit, dress, coat, or other fitted garment did not always end when the shopper found the correct size on the rack. Department stores commonly offered alteration services, especially in better clothing departments, where customers expected a purchased garment to be adjusted before final delivery. The shopper might step onto a small raised fitting platform surrounded by mirrors, while a fitter studied the way the fabric hung. Pins appeared at cuffs and hems, chalk marks identified changes, and a clerk or tailor discussed where the garment needed shortening, taking in, or letting out. Watching a parent go through that process could make it seem surprisingly serious to a child, as though a store-bought garment had suddenly become a custom piece. Trousers were marked for length, jacket sleeves checked, waistlines considered, and dresses adjusted so the finished clothing looked intentional rather than approximate. The garment might then disappear into a workroom instead of going home that day, requiring another pickup or delivery after the alterations were completed. That delay was accepted as part of buying better clothing, especially when the purchase was meant for work, church, a wedding, school event, or important social occasion. Alterations also gave sales clerks another reason to know their merchandise well, because fit problems could determine whether a customer kept or rejected an expensive item. The fitting platform, three-way mirror, chalk, and pin cushion turned the final decision into a small ritual that online shopping has almost completely erased. Putting purchases on layaway. Shoppers who wanted merchandise without taking on a conventional charge account often relied on layaway as another familiar way to manage the household budget. A customer selected an item, left a deposit, and the store held the merchandise while additional payments were made over time. Unlike buying on credit, the shopper generally did not take the goods home until the agreed amount had been paid. That made layaway especially useful for families planning ahead for Christmas gifts, school clothing, household goods, or purchases too large for 1 week's cash. Receipts and payment records mattered, and customers might return to a service desk repeatedly to add a few more dollars toward the balance. The system required patience because the desired item was technically yours in intention, but still physically sitting somewhere inside the store. Parents could use layaway to keep gifts out of the house, which added a practical advantage during the weeks before Christmas. Children often did not see the payments happening at all. A bicycle, coat, doll, or other present could seem to appear suddenly after adults had been paying toward it for weeks. Layaway also reflected a retail world where stores maintained more direct financial relationships with individual customers through accounts, service desks, and handwritten paperwork. The ritual of making small payments until an item could finally go home remains one of the clearest memories of shopping before instant consumer credit became routine. The gift wrapping counter. Department stores once treated wrapping as a visible service rather than something every shopper was expected to do alone at home. During holidays and special occasions, customers could bring purchases to a counter where employees turned ordinary boxes into neat, finished gifts. Paper was measured and folded sharply, ribbon pulled into place, cards added, and store stickers or decorative seals gave the package a professional appearance. Some stores offered complimentary wrapping for certain purchases, while other services or premium papers could carry an additional charge. The counter became especially busy in December, surrounded by boxes, tissue, spools of ribbon, tags, and shoppers trying to finish several errands at once. Department store boxes themselves had value because the printed name told the recipient where the gift had been purchased before the lid was even open. Saving those boxes for later reuse became a household habit, especially when the cardboard was sturdy and the store name carried prestige. Children sometimes watched the wrapping process through the counter opening, fascinated by employees who could fold corners quickly and tie ribbon without hesitation. The service also fit the larger department store promise. The retailer would help with the entire purchase, from selection to presentation, and sometimes even delivery. A beautifully wrapped parcel leaving the counter was advertising, convenience, and ceremony all at once, ready to travel through the crowded downtown streets. Department store home delivery. After hours of shopping, the final luxury could be leaving without carrying every purchase all the way home. Large department stores operated delivery departments and fleets that carried furniture, appliances, bulky goods, and in many cases, smaller parcels directly to customers. A shopper could complete the sale, provide an address, and trust the store to move the purchase through stockrooms, loading areas, trucks, and neighborhood routes. Store delivery vehicles became rolling advertisements, with recognizable names painted on the sides as they moved through city streets and suburbs. Furniture and major appliances made delivery essential, but even boxed merchandise could be sent rather than carried onto a bus or through several blocks of downtown. Delivery tied the elegant sales floor to a huge unseen operation of stock clerks, packers, dispatchers, drivers, elevators, loading docks, and warehouses. It also allowed a downtown flagship store to serve customers who were beginning to live farther from the traditional retail core. As suburban shopping centers expanded during and after the 1950s, that geographic shift would eventually challenge the dominance of many old downtown stores. But in the memory of their strongest years, the department store could manage the whole journey, attract you downtown, serve you all day, and send the purchase home. And when the truck finally stopped at the curb, the shopping trip ended not at the cash register, but at your own front door. Looking back, what made the 1950s downtown department store memorable was not any single product. It was the number of rituals surrounding the purchase. The trip began on a crowded street, continued through decorated windows and staffed apartments, and could include lunch, alterations, wrapping, credit, and delivery. The service could feel more personal than shopping today, though the quality of that experience depended greatly on the customer and the place. Remembering these stores accurately means holding both sides together, the pleasure many families recall, and the barriers other shoppers were forced to face. What still stands out is how much retail depended on human contact, specialized labor, and physical spaces designed to impress the customer. A wrapper knew how to tie the box. Customers learned the building too. The best entrance, the bargain floor, the tea room, and the counter that could solve a particular problem. That familiarity could make a department store feel less like an anonymous warehouse and more like a small city under one roof. Shopping was not always faster then. There was more waiting, more paperwork, more conversation, and more time spent moving from floor to floor. Yet those extra steps created memories through sound, smell, touch, and repetition. Perfume, paper, glass, uniforms, machinery, and voices calling the floors. By the late 1950s, suburban shopping centers and the first enclosed malls were already changing where families spent their retail dollars. Many downtown flagships survived for decades, but their automatic claim on a city's shopping life was beginning to loosen. That may be why the smallest details stay vivid: a metal charge plate, an elevator call, a tea room table, a wrapped box, a delivery truck. If you remember shopping downtown, tell us which ritual comes back first and which department store your family considered its own. The name may vanish from the building, but the feeling of shopping there can stay for a lifetime.